squeeze. Look at this, side by side. Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff. It was 2 weeks ago that the ADAC GT Masters 2025 season kicked off at the Lausitz Ring in Germany. It was a double endurance race, and it was a weekend where we saw Simon Birch and Leo Pickler take a back-to-back win, a maximum points haul from racing in the ADAC GT Masters. Well, 2 weeks later, and it's a very different kind of scenario. Welcome to the seaside, everybody. Welcome to the Netherlands. Welcome to the legendary Zandvoort circuit. We're right on the North Sea coast, and anybody who's here in their shorts and t-shirts were in for a bit of a shock when they rocked up this morning, because it was chucking it down with rain. It's been windy. We've had everything thrown at us, but now the sun has come out. The air temperature is up to 15 degrees centigrade as we get ready for the first sprint race of the season for the ADAC GT Masters. And in very slippery conditions this morning, it was Janis Fischer who scored his first ever pole position in the ADAC GT Masters. He's won twice. He won round the streets of Nuremberg in 2023, and he won at the Red Bull Ring last year, but he's never started from pole position before. He is no doubt going to be a force to be reckoned with in this 60-minute race, but it's the car that starts alongside him that's already been making the headlines, and we've been getting news updates from our man on the ground, Vinny, so thank you for that, Vinny, who's been keeping an eye on the 33 car, because the Powell Motorsport Lamborghini had a fuel pump failure just before the cars were due to come to the grid. The team had been working furiously on it to get it on the grid. They've been told that if they can smell fuel once the race has started, they need to pull it over and save the engine. It's Simon Prim who had a good qualifying session this morning. He qualified in third place. It was a sensational lap by Emil Jerdrum, who was originally second on the grid, but he has picked up a whopping 10-place grid drop for disrespecting a red flag. It's promoted Simon Prim up to second. It's promoted one of the stars of Lausitz Ring, Denis Bulatov, up into third place in the Audi. It's all set to be a thoroughly entertaining race. Fourth on the grid is a newcomer to the ADAC GT Masters, dropped into the seat of the number 6 Liquimodi Team Exeter Lamborghini Huracan at the very last minute. We welcome Baptiste Moulin, the Belgium driver. He was the 2022 Italian GT Pro-Am Endurance champion. He's got a lot of GT experience. He was in GT World Challenge as a guest. He's also been in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, but he's going to have to work hard, because look who is just behind him, Simon Birch, the driver that has won every single GT Masters race that he's ever started, and he started none of them from pole position. This is set to be a very, very entertaining race. We've just had a DTM race which had rain, sun, it had everything in it. It was very, very entertaining. If we get anything near that in this race, we are in for a treat. So we're getting ready to go in just a few minutes as we look at Alan Valente in another of the Audis. Just enough time for me to introduce the man who's stood alongside me. We really enjoyed the DTM race this afternoon. This could be good as well, couldn't it? Chris Hartley.
Yeah, sunshine at the moment, and hopefully the rain has now gone away. Wet qualifying, as you said. Janis Fischer on pole position. I spoke to him and to Denis Bulatov, who's going to be lining up third on the grid for this race. And they said in the rain, there was a surprising amount of grip around here. But we quite like it to rain for the race, because we're not maybe quite as competitive on a dry track. Certainly Denis Bulatov was saying that. You know, don't want it to be dry, really, because I don't think the Audi is going to be right up there on pace. We're much better off in the wet. So it'll be a tall order for Denis, who got his best ever finish in GT Masters with a brave second place in race 2 at Lausitz Ring a couple of weeks ago. Brave because he was desperately trying to get the race win, but just lost the car in going for the win and spun out of contention. Then came back and tried again and then just ran out of time in the end. But he'll be one to keep an eye on. Yanis Fitcher, though, was up there in one of the drive-free practice sessions. And watch out for the driver second in the championship, starting almost at the back of the grid in the Mustang. Number 1, reigning champion Simon Vega. Work to do after a poor wet qualifying, but he was 1st and 4th in the 2 drive-free practice sessions. So that number 1 Mustang ought to come through the pack.
Yes, Simon Vega, he'll be definitely one to watch. He was looking good at Lausitzring, the 2023 champion. In a different steed, though, this year, the Ford Mustang, as the cars start on their all-important formation lap. So it's been a clean sweep for Leo Pickler and Simon Birch. Vega and Finn Wiebelhaus are second in the driver standings, 13 points adrift, with Dennis Bulatov and Nico Handke in 3rd place. Let's have a look at the starting grid for this, the 3rd race of the season. Yanis Fitcher on pole position, Simon Connor Prim alongside him, but will be nervous about that car. Dennis Bulatov and Baptiste Moulin. What a great way to make a start in the ADAC GT Masters. Simon Birch, what can he do from there? Alan Valente alongside him for company. Max Rice and Jonathan Cicotto make it an all-Ford Mustang row 4. Sandro Holzem and Julian Hanses line up on row 5. And on row 6, Tim Zimmerman and Emil Yerdrum with that 10-place grid drop. And then on the back row of the grid, Salman Ovega and Alexander Schwarzer line up alongside each other. They are running in the Pro-Am Championship. We have 2 Pro-Am pairings in this race. We have Emil Yerdrum along with Jonas Karklees in the number 8 Lamborghini. We have Alexander Schwarzer and Alex Fack in the number 4 Fack Autotech Porsche. There is confirmation of the points. So definite eyes on Leo Pickler and Simon Birch in the second row of the grid to see what they can, the 3rd row, I've just promoted them, to see what they can do from there. But we have got 60 minutes of racing ahead of us. And in that race, there will be a mandatory stop and driver change. Who knows what is going to happen in the next 60 minutes plus 1 lap. We are at Circuit Zandvoort, a circuit that is 4.259 kilometers around, 14 turns, 10 to the right, 4 to the left. Several of the turns are banked, 2 of them. 19 degrees of banking. That is turn 3 and turn 14. The cars look majestic. They are side by side. We are ready to go racing in Zandvoort for race 3 of the season. ADAC GT Masters is go. Yanis Fitcher, great run into the first corner. You can see Simon Connor Prim wobbling under braking, just trying to keep that car together. Had so much bad luck at the Lausitzrings. Wants to get the championship challenge back on track. We'll be hoping that fuel pump issue does not reoccur. And up high goes Dennis Bulatov, a very different line into turn 3. Doesn't advantage him, it just leaves him vulnerable to the cars behind. But a good start from Yanis Fitcher. You can just hear on board there, you can hear the car bottoming out on the track. There are marks on the track where the base of the car touches as they head into the downhill of turn 7. Everybody's made it round the first few corners, and in this first lap of the race, good solid start from Yanis Fitcher. No problems for Simon Connor Prim at the moment. And Baptiste Moulin up into 3rd place. Simon Birch already pushing forwards, already looking to make places up on this opening lap of the race. There is Yanis Fitcher, and there is Simon Birch now putting his challenge onto Baptiste Moulin in 3rd place. Moulin doing what he can to defend. Remember, this is his debut in the ADAC GT Masters. He shuts the door on Simon Birch, we'll call him, and Dennis Bulatov just behind them after that moment in turn 3. Alan Valente is there as well. Keep an eye on Max Rice in the Mustang. He was looking very dialed in at the Lausitzring. There is the second of the Pro-Am pairings, Alexander Schwarzer at the moment. Now a challenge, and that is Max Rice, I think that was, who moves to the outside of Alan Valente into turn 1. He ducked to the inside, then to the outside, but he's just left himself vulnerable to Sandro Holzem in the BMW, who rushes forward to fill the gap. There are no place changes on this lap. Tim Zimmerman there as well. Emil Yerdrum will be very, very keen to make up from the disappointment that he picking up that 10-place grid drop as we look back at Sandro Holzem.
Yeah, and Fischer and Prim for first place were not quite, but almost nose to tail as they went into turn 3 as well and headed off up the hill towards a super quick section through turn 6. Slottermacher, which is about 230 kilometres an hour before you hit the brakes, go down to about 90 kilometres an hour. Down the hill then through turn 7 into this turns 8 the right, 9 the left, and you can see in the background there it's only about a car length and a half between the top two, with Simon Connor Prim and his teammate Finn Zulaf having had very few points scored at the Lausitz-Ring when they were very quick, but leading the race, and a puncture put them out of contention. And here we go, the BMW now getting a run on Alan Valente here. That's on board with the Swiss driver. Is coming around the outside. That gives him the inside line for the next turn, and he gets through. So Olsen gaining a place, getting himself out to 7th in the BMW. Valente going up through the gears, approaching the super quick banked section now, the final corner at turn 14, redeveloped in the year 2000, 18-degree banking. It's way steeper than it looks on the television pictures. It's taken absolutely flat out at over 200 kilometres an hour, and Max Rice gets a better run than Alan Valente now. The big Mustang draws alongside. There he is, the number 3 car. Max Rice, podium finisher last time out at the Lausitz-Ring, dives through, gets down the inside, and he puts himself up to 7th place.
And following through on his coattails, Tim Zimmerman as well. Alan Valente trying to fight back, but the Audi doesn't look to have the pace. Just behind them, Jonathan Cecotto in another of the mighty Mustangs, and there is Salman Ovega. 3 Mustangs in this race. Jonathan Cecotto had a lively time in quali this morning, brought out a red flag, but certainly not allowing that to affect his pace at all. Now, Simon Birch in 3rd place, Baptiste Moulin in 4th. There is certainly a challenge going on there. Dennis Bulatov in that queue. Sandra Holsom looking very rapid. The former DTM driver rushing to the back of that particular battle. So he's putting the pressure onto Dennis Bulatov. You can see Bulatov in the blue Audi. Here's further back, Julian Hanses, who's worked his way from further back on the grid. The 2 Pro-Am drivers towards the back, they are indicated by the green boxes around their number. When we come in for the mandatory pit stop, when the pit window opens 25 minutes into the race, they will have a different length pit stop. Let's have another look at the start here. Janis Fischer was well ahead when they crossed the line. Maybe Simon Connor Prim was just holding back a little, but then he had a look on the outside, but Fischer really had that lead signed and sealed as they headed in towards turn 1. The gap is about 0.8 of a second between 1st and 2nd at the moment. This is the view from Simon Birch as he looks to the inside of Baptiste Moulin, and there's Dennis Bulatov as well. The 2 cars just making the very slightest amount of contact. And there, Dennis Bulatov, we saw him taking that unusual line up on turn 3.
Tell you what, the top 2 are absolutely flying. Fischer in the Mercedes, fastest lap so far, 1:36.3. Also 1:36.3, just over half a tenth slower for Simon Connor Prim in the Pau Lamborghini. But the rest of them are in the mid 1:37s to high 1:37s. So they're like a second, 1.2 seconds a lap quicker than anybody on that last lap around. I know there are battles going on behind, but that's impressive. Birch then up into 3rd place in the Porsche, already starting to pull away from Moulin, making his debut in GT Masters. He's also racing GT World Challenge this year, and he's actually a teammate to the driver he's replacing here this weekend, so he's still running pretty well, up in 4th place there in the number 6 blue and white Liqui Moly backed car. And then Dennis Bulatov in the Audi dropping back from 3rd on the grid to 5th place at the moment. 6th place is Holzen, making good progress in the number 56 BMW, and then Rice only about, what, 0.3 of a second behind him. Lights on the Mustang, but also keeping an eye on the mirrors, because Tim Zimmerman in the FK Performance BMW is up to 8th, having got past Valente, and he's right underneath his rear wing.
So out onto the pit straight he will come now, and whether he's close enough to make a challenge, we'll have a look. That's the perspective from Tarzan, which is turn 1. Now heading in towards that first turn, Tim Zimmerman, and no, that's Holzem, I beg your pardon, to the inside of Dennis Bulatov. Zimmerman in the other of the BMWs just a little bit further back, so it's Holzem who is challenging and pushing forwards. The BMW looking to have a lot of pace here, certainly in the dry. I don't think they particularly like it in the wet here at Circuit Zandvoort, so I'll be wishing that it does stay dry and sunny. looking down out of turn 3, and then this section of the circuit goes to the right, then sweeps to the left, and then it's a blind crest uphill. All you can see is the sky as you come up over the hill, and then a steep downhill in towards turn 7, a tricky corner that catches a lot of drivers out, and that's shown by the tyre tracks in the gravel track from previous races. And again, Tim Zimmerman challenging this time Max Rice. In fact, Max Rice now been relegated a position by Tim Zimmerman. So Zimmerman up into 7th place. Next up the road is Dennis Bulatov, but the BMWs are looking very strong here in the GT Masters.
Yeah, you're right, they are. And last year we did have a win for an FK Performance BMW. Maxime Osten and Leon Kohler took a victory. Over the last 3 seasons here, though, a BMW has only won once. It's been fairly evenly split between the brands. 2 wins for an Audi, 2 wins for a Mercedes, 1 for a Lamborghini, and 1, as I said, for a BMW. Zimmerman, though, was on pole position here last year, albeit in a Lamborghini as a grass-up racing driver. And look at the gap coming down between the top 2, because Simon Conner-Prim really got on the brakes on the way into Tarzan, where they dropped from 260 to 90 kilometres an hour. Here we go, side by side again. And looks like Merlan is going to lose the place to Holzem. So Holzem down the inside up to 4th place. And it's side by side just behind as well as Bulatov coming under fire from Max Rice. Max can't quite get through, though, in the maroon and white Mustang. So it's Fitcher and Prim, the top 2, split by just a few tenths of a second. Birch in 3rd, Holzem up to 4th, Merlan 5th, and then in 6th place, it is now Tim Zimmerman.
So Zimmerman with Bulatov just behind. The cars running very close together. To remind you, if you're new to GT Masters, that there is a pit window that will open 25 minutes into the race. It will remain open for 10 minutes. And during that pit window, every car will need to come in for a mandatory stop and a driver change. This is very significant for the 2 cars that are in 13th and 14th, because they are in the Pro-Am category, and it means they will have a shorter pit stop than the cars in front, as we see Julian Hanses challenging further back, and I think he's found a route past Salmon O'Vega. So Julian Hanses, next man on a mission. So there is a minimum pit stop time from pit entry to pit exit for all cars when they come in for their stop. And the 2 Pro-Am cars will have a pit stop time that is 15 seconds shorter. Minimum pit stop time, 15 seconds shorter than the cars around him. Right, let's have a look at a replay here. This is Julian Hanses to the inside of Salmon O'Vega, and that looked like a fairly easy move. O'Vega didn't really look to be putting up too much of a fight. So Julian Hanses through into 11th place. Meanwhile, at the front, Simon Conner-Prim has closed in on Yanis Fitcher. Simon Conner-Prim, along with co-pilot Finn Zulauf, looking really strong at the Lausitz ring, as Tim Zimmerman now challenges at Baptiste Moulin and makes the route past into 5th place. But Conner-Prim and Finn Zulauf had nothing but bad luck at the Lausitz ring. They were championship, certainly their championship, some of the championship favourites coming into this season, but awful time in both races. So looking to make amends for that. Looks as though they've sorted out the issue with the fuel pump, so hopefully no issues there for the number 33 car. Looking solid in 2nd place, 7 tenths back from the leader and 6 seconds ahead of Simon Birch in 3rd place.
Fancy's on the charge, isn't he? Got past Valente there. So Valente in that pink and white Audi tumbling down the order now, the Swiss driver. It's his 3rd different brand in the last 3 years that he's driven for. These days an Audi driver, and Valente with Carrie Schreiner to take over the wheel for the 2nd half of this race. Whoever qualifies in qualifying 1 starts the race. Whoever qualifies the car in qualifying 2 starts the 2nd race of the weekend. And that mandatory pit stop, the 10-minute window coming up. As Brian said, we reach 25 minutes into the race. So Fitcher leading, shadowed all the way though by Simon Conner-Prim. Simon Birch is about 6 seconds behind them already. So the pace of the top 2 is absolutely electric. They're still in the 136s. They're about half a second slower than their absolute best lap times, but there's not many other drivers out there that have been matching them for the last few laps. So the gap is starting to come down. Look at this, the number 1 car of Vega trying to get down the inside and just about squeezing that Mustang through a tiny gap to get past the Audi and gain a place back, but he's not made an electric start really to the race of Vega, not the one I was expecting. That is the longest wheelbase car in the field, that Mustang, and maybe not well suited to the tight, twisty confines parts of the circuit around around here. It does have a bit of everything. It'll love opening up the throttle around the last part of the lap, the last sector, but through the twistier sections, that Mustang looks like a bit of a handful. But he got past Valente and he's up into 11th.
Julian Hanses has just relieved Denis Bulatov of 9th place. So Julian Hanses in the BMW, once again proving that that car is looking very quick here at Zandvoort this afternoon. So Bulatov relegated down into 10th place. We're having another look here. That's Max Rice to the inside of Baptiste Moulin. Makes fairly easy work of it. So Max Rice through into 6th place. This was Julian Hanses on board and onto Denis Bulatov just ahead of him. We're going to see a problem. That's the leader, Janis Vicha. So we were looking at 2nd place, wondering about reliability, but it's the race leader, Janis Vicha, clearly has a problem. The SR Motorsport by Schnitzeland Mercedes-AMG has come to a stop on the exit of turn 12, just past the chicane. Now, if he can't get that moving, this is almost certainly going to bring out either a safety car or at the very least a full course yellow. You can see him looking down, trying to get the thing started, but it looks like it's just lost power. And Simon Conner-Prim had to take avoiding action to get past, but he's like, yeah, well, maybe some of the bad luck that was haunting us at the Lausitz Ring is passed over, because now Simon Conner-Prim takes the lead. Right, the engine fires up. So clearly there was an issue. The engine died. He's got it going again, but of course he has dropped to the very back of the pack. Now, is he going to peel off into the pits, or is he going to see what happens and keep it out? He might as well just carry on. Nothing to lose there, but after a pole position and leading the race, the fastest lap of the race, the car cutting out by the looks of things, he restarts, but now he is some 42 seconds back from the lead, 23 seconds back from the car in front, down into 14th place.
Yeah, and after the start of the season that Conner-Prim and Zulaf had, only 7 points scored across the whole weekend, a retirement and a 13th place. It's only a short championship with 6 weekends, 12 rounds. So they've got to try and get in the wins now. And, well, here's a chance with that problem for the Schnitzeland Mercedes. So a real shame for Vicha now, losing huge amounts of time, dropping right to the back of the field. I mean, he's 23, nearly 24 seconds behind the 13th place car. That's how much time he lost, but at least he's got it going again. Desperately needs a safety car now to get back into the race, doesn't he? That's his only chance, really. In the background there, Emil Gerdrum, who drove brilliantly to get the car second on the grid, the Norwegian, in qualifying in the wet this morning, but then had that grid penalty. He was all over the back of Alain Valente as they came out of the chicane, but couldn't quite find a way past. So the leaders go through, more side-by-side action. I'm afraid that Lamborghini dropping down the order again, isn't it now? So Moulin loses another place, potentially. Hansen was already ahead of him over the line, but making sure of the job into turn 1. And then you've got the Mustang coming after him as well. Simon Conner-Prim then finds himself suddenly, rather than staring at the back of a Mercedes, in the lead, and also 6 seconds clear of the Porsche of Simon Birch.
Simon Birch, of course, is carrying an extra 20 kilos on account of the fact that he won the last race. That's a success ballast. Denis Bulatov is carrying an extra 10 kilos, and Janis Vicha is carrying an extra 5 kilos. That's as a result of finishing 3rd last time out. The success ballast is carried for 1 race only. No such issues for Simon Conner-Prim. You can see there that he's made up that place, but Sandro Holzum, man on a mission, also Tim Zimmerman, 6 and 7 places respectively that they've made up, both in the BMW. Julian Hanses has made up 3 places as well, up into that 7th place. So lots of progress being made. We're about 9 minutes away from the pit window opening, and that could change the dynamic. It'll certainly bring the Pro-Am drivers a little bit more into play, as Simon Vega now lines up behind Baptiste Moulin. Remember, this is his debut in the ADAC GT Masters, this race. So very much a steep learning curve. Simon Vega, the champion from 2 years ago, now on his back bumper, out of turn 14, taken flat out on account of the 18 degrees of banking. It allows the drivers to get onto the power nice and early, extend the pit straight, and do just that. Make a move into turn 1, under braking. Job done. Simon Vega up into 8th place.
Yeah, so Moulin, you're on board with now, did well in the qualifying in the wet, but the car not quite on it, is it, in the dry conditions? So loses another place, drops down to 8th position. But there's a battle just coming through shot, which is starting to heat up for 5th place. You've got the maroon coloured number 3 Ford Mustang of Max Rice in his second season of GT Masters, but Johnny Cicotto in the gold and black sister car run by HRT, Hubert Haupt's team, is there as well, and they've got both of them for company, the BMW of number 10 Julian Hanses, so 5th, 6th and 7th. The gap between all three of them is less than a second, so they were just heading up through the middle of the lap. There's another BMW which is going pretty well in this race, up to 3rd place now for Sandro Holzem, and Simon Birch he's being bit by bit reeled in, so Holzem absolutely charging. His last lap was just under 2/10 quicker than the Porsche. They've gone through sector 1. Holzem was not quite as quick through sector 1 as the Porsche that he's trying to catch. In fact, he was half a tenth quicker, but sector 2 is where he lost out 2/10. But sector 3 here at the end of the lap looks like this is the favourite bit for the BMW, flat out through the banking. And now, how close can he get on the way into the braking zone at Tarzan? He starts to get sucked into the slipstream. The Porsche defends, so he's only got one chance. That's to go around the outside here. Brave stuff from Holzem. If he can stay around the outside, he might eventually get the inside at turn 3, but he can't quite do it. And Simon Birch there positioning the car beautifully to keep the Porsche ahead.
So he lines him up once again, now up onto the 19-degree banking of turn 3. It's like the wall of death around there. Tim Zimmermann there, and now he gets a run out of turn 3 into turn 4 and just breezes in front. The power of that BMW up into 2nd place for Sandro Holzem. His best ever finish in the ADAC GT Masters has been a 2nd place. That was back in 2023 at the Nürburgring. The 2-times winner, the winner of every race this season so far, Simon Birch is relegated a position. He probably wishes he was in the BMW at the moment, because that really does have some grunt. He's got another one lined up now. Tim Zimmermann behind the Razzoon More Than Racing Porsche. And you get the feeling the experience of Tim Zimmermann in that car is going to make short work of the Porsche in 3rd place.
Yeah, the BMW seems to have really good traction, doesn't it? A couple of BMWs have gained places on the way out of corners rather than in a straight line and on the way into corners under braking. So the traction on the BMW, or BMW, seems to be working very well. The FK Performance orange and black machine now, as you say, getting closer and closer. Tim Zimmermann working his way nicely up the order here. Pole set here last year. This is a replay. The exit from turn 3, that was there. Birch just pushing a bit too hard and just clipping a wheel over the curb onto the grass, and the grass is mud because of all the rain that we had during the morning, this morning during qualifying and in the lead up to this race. This is what it looks like to go through that banking at turn 3. That's what it looks like to go a bit too wide on the exit. Big thud as he went over the curb, and just that split second of acceleration lost. And there we see the BMW now out of the Porsche, so he's lost another one because Zimmermann has got through. He squeezed through at the start of this lap. Looked like he did that on the way out of Tarzan, that run towards turn 3. So Birch now with the onboard camera has dropped another place down to 4th.
The other of the BMWs, the 3rd of them, Julian Hanses, up to 7th place, closing in on Jonathan Cicotto. The car that was leading the race, Janis Fischer at the back, some 43 seconds back. So whatever caused that problem for the car to cut out looks to have resolved itself, certainly for the time being. Having another look here at Tim Zimmermann, that move on Simon Birch, and he just sails around him. Simon Birch not really putting up too much of a fight, maybe deciding to choose which battles he gets involved with on this occasion and coming back to fight stronger another day. He just sees Zimmermann come sailing past and then up into the banking of turn 3. Right, there's your race leader. Simon Conoprim, 8.064 ahead of Sandro Holzem. Sandro, who will be handing over to his twin brother Giuliano at the pit stop, which the window opens in 4 minutes' time. Simon Conoprim sharing driving duties with the reigning champion of ADAC GT for Germany, Finn Zulauf, and he'll be limbering up in the pits. The team may well decide that Simon Conoprim, with an open track in front of him, they might want to just keep him out as long as possible when the window opens. And there is Max Rice in 5th place. So a good solid job for Max Rice, having started from 7th on the grid. So working his way forwards, picked up a couple of places. His teammate just behind him, Jonathan Cicotto.
Extra incentive for Sandro Holzem to get his head down in 2nd place in that BMW is to get more than 15 seconds clear of Emil Gerdrum in the number 8 Lamborghini. Gerdrum is in 12th place, but as a Pro-Am pairing, as Brian said, has got 15 seconds shorter stop time in the pits. Well, At the moment, 15 seconds difference would put Gerdrum from 12th just about up to 2nd place, because he's 23 seconds behind the leader, but he's only 15 seconds behind 2nd place, just under 15 seconds. And then Schwarzer is not too far back from him, about 5 seconds down the road. So the number 4 Porsche would move up the order as well. And the power of them after the pit stop should be hovering around somewhere around 3rd or 4th place as it stands. But the longer, of course, it goes on, the further away potentially other drivers are going to get. But Schwarzer could be interesting, because Alex Fack, a very quick driver, a race winner in Porsche Super Cup at the British Grand Prix a few years ago at Silverstone, is a very quick driver to get into that number 4 car. So it's nowhere at the moment, but with a shorter pit stop and a very quick driver to get in, the number 4 Fack Autotech Porsche could be in the mix after the pit stops.
And Emil Yerdrum will be handing over to Jonas Karklees. And a mention for Emil Yerdrum at the moment. Last Monday, he passed his driving test. So they start young, don't they? So he's able to do what he does on the racetrack on the road. Well, hopefully not quite the same. But his first car that he used was a classic Lamborghini, worth an absolute fortune. And that's the car he was using when he passed his driving test. Good stuff there. Good stuff from Jonathan Cicotto and Julian Hanses, who are going side by side for 6th place. Hanses with the legs in that BMW. You see them taking a very different line around to turn 3. Once again, out the flat out bit takes a lot of courage to get your foot down. It's a blind crest and a fast corner here. Over the top they come, and then this is really tricky. You get a lot of sand on the track heading down to turn 7. But Julian Hanses has managed to fend off Johnny Cicotto, kept him in that 7th place, moves his way forwards. Next up the road is Max Rice.
So that golden black Ford Mustang there, being driven by Jonathan Cicotto in the number 2 cars. We're going to replay that battle that he had with Julian Hanses, really digging in deep to try and hold on to the position, but the BMW sweeping around the outside of him as you go on board with Hanses now. This is where he just took the high line through the banking, and it paid off. Great view of the angle of the curvature of the corner there, and Hanses getting through. But Cicotto, that black and gold machine, the son of Johnny Cicotto, who is a motorbike world champion in 350 and 250cc racing. He was a star at that level of motorbikes. One of those rare breeds that then became a very good 4-wheel racer. Went on to race in Formula 1, was actually teammates to a young Ayrton Senna for the British team, Ted Tolman's team, back in the 80s when Ayrton came into Formula 1 for the first time. They had a big accident at Brands Hatch, which ended his Formula 1 career. Then he switched to touring cars. He was good at that as well, Johnny Cicotto. He was a runner-up in the DTM Championship back in 1990 in a Schnitzer Motorsport BMW. And we're getting now to the countdown, because 10 seconds time, that pit window for 10 minutes is going to open.
Some people have all the talent, don't they? Yes, so pit window about to open. And keep one eye up at the dark clouds up above as well. So the number 6 car with Baptiste Moulin still holding on to 9th place at the moment. So the pit window is open. Simon Cotter-Prim has opened up the lead to some 9.241 seconds. And you get the feeling that the team at Powell Motorsport, who filled that car, might not be in a hurry to bring him in. Just to mention of Powell Motorsport, Max Powell, who has just scored a podium in the DTM. Sorry about the spoilers, should have warned you really. But a very impressive drive for the family-run team. And now their sister car leading the way here after a panic before the race started with a fuel pump issue, but now leading the way by 9.2 seconds from Sandro Holzem, and they'll want to keep him out, I expect. Julian Hanses has now caught up with Max Rice, so this is for 5th place. And the BMW once again looking mighty. The flashing of the lights, anything to get Max Rice to look at the mirror at the very point he's meant to be hitting his braking spot. Right into the pits comes Tim Zimmerman, the first to pull the pin. Leighton Fury will be limbering up in the pit lane, ready to take over the gold and black BMW. It looks like Salmon Vega, a fairly difficult race for him. Finn Wiebelhaus will be in the pits waiting for him as well. You can see the clock ticking down to remind you all cars bar 2 from pit entry to pit exit. 85 seconds is the minimum pit stop time. They'll want to get to the pit exit at about the time the clock strikes 0, but they must not get there before. They cannot decelerate in the pit lane. So it's all about leaving the pit box at exactly the right time. Vega vacates the seat. Wiebelhaus jumps in. Vega helps him to get buckled up. There is a maximum of 2 mechanics who may work on the car while it's stopped in the pits. But with that pit time, there's no major rush. They've got plenty of time to get one in, to get the other, well, one out, the other in. They take the seat insert with them because each driver is of a different build. So into the car comes the next driver, the Schnitzelam car that had that problem, Moritz Viskursen, who will be taking over the number 21 car from Janis Fitcher, and they will be thinking about what might have been. Right, one of the Pro-Ams is in. Alexander Schwarzer from 13th place. He is going to be stationary, in theory, for 15 seconds less than the cars around him. And Alex Fack, the silver-rated driver, a very rapid driver, will be jumping into the seat of that Porsche. Here comes Leighton Fury. Yeah, it wasn't a great stop for the BMW, the FK Performance BMW. It's 85 seconds is 1 minute and 25. 1 minute and 28.3 was the stop. So that's 3.3 seconds above the ideal minimum pit stop time. And they're in a real race, I reckon, with the number 8 Gerdrum Liqui-Moly Exler Lamborghini, which is going to be coming out around them with a much shorter pit stop as we get a replay of side-by-side action down the pit lane. The number 1 Haupt Mustang versus the FAC Autotech car, which had the much shorter pit stop. The Mustang just about stayed ahead, but that illustrates just how much that Porsche is going to come up the order now with that much shorter pit stop, but also particularly the number 8 Liqui-Moly Team Exler car, which is into the pits now. So that could come out around about 4th place, looking at the gaps before the pit stops opened. Gerdrum will get out of the car, and the Norwegian will be replaced by Jonas Karklis, the Lithuanian. Julian Holsum is at the wheel of the 56 car now. They're not sat there just killing time. They're waiting for the clock to tick down. They will have back-timed it so that he hits the pit exit, in theory, at the right time. Well, we saw a replay then of Alex Fack leaving the pits and their potential unsafe release. I have to say, for my money, I thought Alex Fack backed out of it and gave plenty of space to Finn Wiebelhaus. But the stewards clearly want to take a look at that. So a nervous few moments for FAC Autotech while that is looked at. FAC Autotech and that car with Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer at the wheel tends to win in the Pro-Ams every time it appears. And certainly won both of the races this year in the Pro-Am category so far. But Emil Gerdrum, along with Jonas Karklis, may be wondering whether they can steal a top step at the podium in the Pro-Am race in this race. We will see what happens there. At the moment, Simon Conner-Prim remaining out in the lead. Yeah, it looks like the FK Performance BMW, the orange and black machine, managed to just stay ahead for what should be a net 4th place once everything's done of the number 8 Liqui-Moly Team X, the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini, now driven by Jonas Karklis. It came out of the pits just after the BMW had come through. So even though they lost a bit of time, what was the pit stop like for the number 8 car? They did it in 1 minute and 12 seconds. So they were 2 seconds over their ideal pit stop time as well. So neither of them were perfect pit stops. And obviously a pretty good outlap by the looks of things for the South African Leighton Fury, who has kept that BMW in a potential 4th place once it all settles down. Another BMW in the pits now, though, after a good stint from Julian Hanses. Eduardo Cossetang is the driver to jump into the seat. I had a chat to him yesterday, and he was feeling really comfortable with Julian Hanses as his co-pilot. Really feels as though they are very compatible with each other. Julian Hanses has been on the scene for many years, has driven so many different brands. I remember talking about him in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany about 5 or 6 years ago, but now in the GT Masters, showing what he can do. He's certainly shown what that BMW can do, so now the spotlight very much on Eduardo Cossetang to keep that good work going. The engine is running. Now look at the clock ticking down. He heads towards the pit exit line. He'll want to hit it when it hits 0. Well, he's lost about a second. Jonathan Cecotto about half a second. So he comes out of the pits. Not Jonathan Cecotto now, because of course it's Dennis Fetzer who's at the wheel of the black and gold Mustang. So out onto the track they come. Our race leader is in. Simon Conner-Prim handing over to Finn Zulav. Also Simon Birch is in, handing over to Leo Pickler. Max Rice is in, handing over to Nicholas Callas. So everybody has or is pitting, apart from Denis Bulatov, who takes over the lead of the race, but he has yet to stop. So the leading pit stopper is Sandro Olsum, who was in 2nd place before the pit
pit window open. He's just about to go into turn 9, and then a couple of seconds behind him, the second of the pit stoppers is that orange and black FK Performance BMW of Leighton Fury. He is second in the pit stoppers there. Now, those two are going to try and race against this pair as they come out of the pits on cold tyres, which will take about a lap to get up to temperature. So the 33 PAL Motorsport Lamborghini and the number 14 Razoon Racing Porsche of Simon Birch handing over to their respective teammates. Finn Zulauf will get underway in a cacophony of noise in the Lamborghini, and driving the, it's going to be Leo Piccolo, the Austrian, driving the Porsche now. So, just about to come into the final turn is the leading pit stopper, which is the BMW of number 56, Sandro Olsen. Just behind him, the number 11 BMW, the orange machine of Leighton Fury. So, a net leader still, is, as you'd expect, is the Lamborghini, because it had, what, an 8-second lead, didn't it? But for second place, I think this is going to be pretty tight, isn't it? Here comes Olsen, comes around the exit to Tarzan, and he is a net second still, as he should be. But there, look, Leighton Fury has got ahead of the Porsche, so that means that's a net podium position, potentially, for that pairing after a good first stint from Tim Zimmerman.
Right, we've got a red mark next to car number 6. So Baptiste Moulin, who's handed over to Simon Ladniak, potentially under investigation for going below the minimum pit stop time. Look at this scramble in the middle of that battle. Nicholas Callas in the number 2 car. Number 3 car, should I say. Number 2 is Dennis Fetzer. They're all fighting each other. The Mustangs trying to occupy the same bit of real estate, all 3 of them together. Meanwhile, Alex Fack, after that stop, up into 12th place. Bolotov now peels off into the pit, so that's going to hand the lead back to Finn Zulauf. But Juliana Holzem in that second place, looking very solid indeed. There's confirmation of what we just said. Number 6, Simon Ladniak, under investigation for a pit stop time, going below the minimum pit stop time. Alex Fack to the inside of Finn Wiebelhaus. So this is for 10th place, because I think they've already dispatched Jonas Karklees. So Alex Fack pushing forwards. He's a really talented driver. Now to the outside of Finn Wiebelhaus, and then to the inside. Eases his nose in front. Alex Fack is moving forwards.
According to the timing screen, the pit stop for the number 6 Lamborghini of Ladniak was 78.3 seconds, so well under, like nearly 7 seconds under the minimum pit stop time. So they could be hammered with a pretty big penalty once that is confirmed. So the last of the front runners and pit stoppers coming out now. It's Dennis Bolotov that drove that Audi in the first stint. They were second at the Lausitz Ring in race 2, remember. That one is now going to come out, but well down the order, I'm afraid. There's confirmation of a drive-through penalty, which is equivalent to the lost pit stop time as well, to make up for that. So that in and out is going to cost them, I don't know, what, about 30 seconds, something like that. It's going to be a big hit, so that's going to drop pretty much to the back of the field. But the number 16 Scherer Sport car, now driven by Nico Hanke, taking over from Dennis Bolotov. It's going to have fresher tyres than some of the others around it, but it did come out quite a long way down the order.
So the cars settle down after the pit window now closes, and it's Finn Zulauf who leads the way. The 2 Liquimoli Team Engstler cars running together on track, but that drive-through penalty is soon going to change that situation. It'll be about half a lap behind once they've done that and kept to the speed limit. But with all the pit sequences done and dusted, it's Finn Zulauf who now takes over the 33 car and leads the way ahead of Juliano Holzem. This is another look. Is that Eduardo Kozateng and Nicholas Callas? Oh, and it was Callas perhaps getting into the back of Simon Ladniak. Minor amount of contact. This is going to be good for the camera. There we go, getting up close and personal with it. Just reminding him he's there. That's all good, clean racing, really, isn't it? We saw that. There's Dennis Fetzer in the background. All the Mustangs are running together, because also there is Finn Wiebelhaus in the other of the Mustangs. But right, looking at the gap, Finn Zulauf 9.859 ahead of Juliano Holzem.
Oh, replay, Dennis Fetzer almost losing it there. He just about gathered it back up and I think prevented the number 1 of Finn Wiebelhaus in the other Mustang, the white Mustang, coming through. But Fetzer had a really sketchy moment there. Did well to recover it. So Finn Zulauf, former GT4 racer, has been here before, hasn't he? Leading a race comfortably. It happened at the Lausitz Ring, and then the puncture threw him into the gravel trap. Then another puncture, or slow puncture, which ended up completely eliminating, dropping him out of the race, out of a potential race victory. He's got breathing space here. He's got nearly a 10-second advantage. So he doesn't have to push like crazy here. But equally, Brian, when you're leading a race, you still got to kind of keep your rhythm. If you start braking early and being too soft, then you start to make really silly mistakes as a driver because you've lost your normal rhythm, your normal braking points and so forth. So he doesn't have to go 100%, but he can't drop too much below that. And certainly Julian Holtzman won't allow him to do that. Leighton Fury is going to be one to watch in third place as well. He was 3/10 quicker than Holtzman last time around. And on this lap so far, he's been matching, more or less matching the BMW ahead of him. There's Dennis Fetzer in the number 2 Mustang. He did indeed keep the number 1 car of Wiebelhaus behind him, so that was pretty impressive. They got Fack behind both of them now, so Fack has dropped back to, what will that be, 9th place now in the Porsche. So Fack just dropping a bit of ground to the 2 Mustangs, and this could be an attack from Finn Wiebelhaus. He gets a really good run coming out of the last corner. Some dark menacing clouds up ahead. This is what it looks like then from Dennis Fetzer's car, the number 2 gold and black Mustang just about closes the door in time. Wiebelhaus, the number 1 car, has to sit tight.
So at the moment, Finn Zulauf's lead has been eaten away a little by Juliana Holzum, who is very, very quick, closing in 9.148 last time around. We've still got 22 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. I should think that Finn Zulauf, after the races at the Lausitz Ring, after the problems coming to the grid earlier on, will be listening to every bump, every clonk, every groan that the car makes. It's probably sweaty palms, and I expect Simon Conner-Prim has gone and hidden somewhere out the back, because this is a really scary moments as they try to break their bad luck leading the race. But Juliana Holzum closing in 9.148 last time around. We'll see what that is next time. Leighton Fury, the BMWs are so strong, 1.8 seconds behind Juliana Holzum. That's your 1, 2, 3. It is Lamborghini from BMW from BMW. Then Leo Pickler, the driver who's won both of the races so far this year. They were both endurance races, so this is something slightly different. And we're looking at Dennis Fetzer at the moment in 7th place with Finn Wiebelhaus, the very impressive Finn Wiebelhaus in 8th, just behind him. Right, across the line we come, 8.960. So that 0.2 of a second has been taken out of the lead by Juliana Holzum. Is that enough? Well, not enough with 20 minutes remaining, but still plenty of time to come. Finn Zulauf may well see Holzum in his mirrors before too long.
So even though Pickler and Birch are not on for the hat-trick of wins at the moment, they are on to extend their championship lead. So the Porsche is in 4th place, but the nearest championship rivals are Vega and Wiebelhaus in that number 1 white Haupt Racing Mustang, and that's back in 8th place. So as it stands, the gap will grow from 13 to 18 points, I reckon. 13 points going the way of the Porsche drivers, 8 points at the moment going the way of the Mustang drivers. So it'll be 63 points for Pickler and Birch, 45 for Vega and Wiebelhaus, 36 points for Bolotov and Hamke, who are both behind both of them. Only 2 points being scored at the moment by the unfortunate Janus Fitcher and Moritz Fiskirchen, who started on pole, led the race until that technical fault. And of the top 5, the next best point scorers are going to be Max Rice and Nicholas Callas, who are on course for a 6th place and 10 points at the moment, which would put them onto 29 points. They'll still be 5th in the championship, but only a point behind the Schnitzel and Mercedes pairing now.
You're watching the battle of the Haupt Racing team. All 3 of their cars are running together. It's certainly the advantage. Nicholas Callas at the moment in 6th place overall. Dennis Fetzer just behind in the black and gold car. Then it's Finn Wiebelhaus. Alex Fack is not done yet. Waiting for our leaders to, well, the leaders cross the line, waiting for a second to cross the line, 8.8, so another 10th out of the lead for Juliana Holzum. Not enough to challenge the leader at that pace, so he is quicker, but not enough to catch him. Look at this, Eduardo Kozateg to the inside of Leo Pickler. This is for 4th place. Kozateg, who was sounding and looking supremely confident earlier on in the weekend, and proving that by taking that 4th place away from Leo Pickler. Next up the road is a BMW, Leighton Fury, but he's a little way up ahead of him, about 6.8 seconds clear. This is the view on board, and Leo Pickler, once again choosing which battles to fight today, not putting up too much of a fight, not risking the tyres, not risking the car, by fighting with a car behind that is undoubtedly quicker at the moment in the race, just staying there, picking up the points, because championships are not just won on race wins, they're won on consistency. There's the race leader, and this is the gap back to second and third.
Amazing what a win can do, though. 25 points would move Finn Zulaf and Simon Connor Prim from 13th up to 5th place in the championship. They'll go on to 32 points as it stands, and on course for a podium. Leighton Fury in the FK Performance BMW, he's going to move on to 34, so he'll be up to 4th in the championship as well. So it can all change very quickly in these early stages of the championship. Holds them just ahead of Fury by 0.3 of a second, and this battle going on here between all three Mustangs and the Porsche of Alex Fack, running Fetzer in 7th, Wiebelhaus in 8th, Fack in the Porsche in 9th place. He's the Pro-Am leader by, what, 5.5 seconds there. It was 5.5 seconds adrift, that Porsche of the Lamborghini before the pit stops, but it's now 5 seconds up the road. Got 17.5 minutes plus a lap left to go, and Callis looks good on the brakes, doesn't he, in that maroon Mustang on the way into turn 1 to fend him off. But Kozeteng ahead of Pickler now into 4th place. So the championship leaders lose another couple of points to drop from 4th place down to 5th.
Callis certainly looking the quicker of the three. The Mustangs struggling a little bit, it would seem, during the windier section of the circuit, particularly around 7, 8, 9 and 10. And then out on the pit straight is when they have the grunt, and Alex Fack just not able to do anything about it. Out onto the flat out section, that's when they seem to open up the gap over the Porsche. He closes in here around this section of the track, which is up at turns 9 and 10, and he's there and he's looking like he's going to challenge for a position. And then around to turn 11 and 12, they'll come in towards the chicane in a few moments, but then when they get up onto the banking and it's foot to the floor, that's when they seem to leave Alex Fack behind. Seems to have more in the way of straight line speed. So here we come out into turn 12, the chicane, and up onto the banking once again. There is the fight for second place. Juliana Holzem, Leighton Fury lining him up for a challenge in towards turn 1. But Fury not really close enough to do anything on this particular occasion. Still 16 minutes left. Still the gap coming down between these two and the lead car. But of course, as long as Juliana Holzem is defending from Leighton Fury, he's not concentrating on getting after Finn Zulaf, who still has 7.8 seconds.
Yeah, Fury and that BMW, saying after the Lausitz ring, the BMW was really eating its tyres at the end of the race, because he was on the cusp of a podium finish there, potentially, running, I think, as high as 4th in one of the races at the Lausitz ring. Then it just fell away, so had a 6th and an 8th place finish in the end. So I hope that's not the case here at Zandvoort. Here is that Mercedes of Viskirchen trying to salvage some more points out of this race. It's the battle for 12th, though. Gary Schreiner just ahead in the Audi on a return to the GT Masters Championship after several years away, racing in FIA Academy, and a race winner in that as well. She, though, doing a good job of keeping the Mercedes at bay for now. And so Leighton Fury still pushing on in that Mercedes, that BMW, trying to catch the other BMW of Juliana Holzem for second place, and getting ever closer. And the South African, former BMW M2 Cup champion, has a look at the chicane. Can't quite get through though at the Hans Ernst corner. So on the exit to the turn now, heading up towards turn 13, about 180 kilometers an hour, slow down to 130, third gear through here. And from here on in, build the speed. Flat out, go through the gears, don't touch that brake until you get down to turn 1 now at Tarzan, and here you are whipping up to 260 kilometers an hour. It's about 160 miles an hour. I think Leighton, though, is just a bit too far back to attack this time into turn 1.
Leighton Fury, who has won almost every championship he's ever entered. No pressure then. The South African driver following in the footsteps of Kelvin and Sheldon van der Linde. very, very quick drivers, and of course Jordan Pepper as well, another South African pilot. But now Leighton Fury taking a tighter line into the bank into turn 3. It's a drag race out of 3, but still Juliana Holzem holding on to that position. I'm impressed he came back from that. He carried a fair amount of momentum around the top of the banking, but Leighton Fury now as close as he's ever been, 0.2 of a second last time. Let's have another look at a replay here. At one point, maybe he even had a nose in front just briefly, but Juliana Holzem coming back, still holding on to that second place. But Leighton Fury, such a talented driver, such a welcome addition to the ADAC GT Masters, proving why he is a championship winner in the past, a championship winner of the future, trailing behind Juliana Holzem at the moment. Still, the fight for second place continues. This is a gift for Finn Zulauf at the front, because as long as they're fighting each other, he's able to just maintain that gap of 8.8 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, that's another issue for the Mercedes. Exactly the same. Different driver, same drama for the Schnitzel Mercedes. This time it's Viskirchen trying to fire it back up. So the technical gremlin has bit again, and that car is stranded just at turn 2 at the moment, and off the side of the track, they're in a precarious position.
Tell you what, if this brings out a safety car, it will be very bad news for Finn Zulauf, because that 8.9 seconds is fairly critical, I would say, against the might of the BMWs. They might be able to cover it off with a full course yellow if he can't move the car, but it may also be a safety car. We've got 12.5 minutes remaining. This could change the dynamic of the race. Leighton Fury still challenging for second place. They've been around there tied together for several laps now, out of turn 3 into turn 4. But what is going to happen about the Viskirchen Mercedes that is stranded at the side of the track? Well, we'll find out in a bit. No notification of anything at the moment. There's going to be nervous moments in the Power Motorsports camp as well as they look on. But this fight for second continues.
It does, yeah. Fury looks slightly the quicker of the two, doesn't he? But cannot quite find a way through here. Shows his nose again all the way into turn 10. He's almost pushing Olsen through the corner. Come on, he says. Get out of my way. I want to go for second place here. Can he find a way through at the chicane? He's going to have a go here, but the inside line is going to be covered, so he's going to have to go the outside line here. Fury might do this on the way to the left-hander. On the gravel he goes through. Fantastic. Runs wide though. Olsen tries to come back at him, but the right-hander that's coming up should favour the South African in the FK Performance BMW. This is what it looks like from Eduardo Cosseteng's BMW party, all together, second, third and fourth. But it's Leighton Fury, who was fourth in last year's GT4 Championship, who moves himself up to second, and he's looking for his FK Performance BMW flying off. The car's a bit lighter now, Leighton, so no dramas. He carried on, but that was a fantastic move. He put a wheel on the curb and then on the gravel, didn't he, to commit to that move to line it up through the second part of the chicane, and he's on course now for his first podium in GT3. Here's a replay, Brian. Look at this for commitment as he goes over the curb. A full course yellow. He's starting in 10 seconds time.
Wow, it's like BMW M4 Cup, isn't it? Eduardo Cosseteng thought he might benefit from that. Right, here we go. Full course yellow, so everybody needs to decelerate down to 80 kilometers an hour. In theory, the gaps should stay the same, but they never do, because everybody accelerates and decelerates at different times. Leighton Fury just extending the track a little, and there, the part of his bodywork bouncing past Eduardo Cosseteng.
Don't need that.
Souvenir there. He says, I've got one already. You got one of those. Full course yellow is out, so that'll be to move the number 21 car of Moritz Viskirchen. We will see what happens to the gap. It was 9.8 seconds when they crossed the line. But as I say, everybody accelerates, decelerates at different times. The drivers need to be full of attention here, because when it goes back to green, there's not a lot of warning in the car, and they'll be back to green flag conditions. But we're going to have a few moments while the stricken car is removed from just beyond turn 1 towards turn 2. As the race leader, now maybe this is where the rhythm can be lost as well. Keeping the focus really important, and the clock continues to tick down. we continue to look at the skies and wonder if the rain is going to come. That is your race leader, Finn Zulauf.
Yeah, full course yellow, much better option for him than the safety car.
It certainly
keeps the gap, the gap more or less what he had. He was quicker than the two BMWs, the two chasing BMWs before as well. So even if there had been a safety car, he might have felt under a bit of pressure. But, you know, okay, I'm still quicker than them. That said, they were fighting each other and holding each other up. They're all three BMWs together now. That move to put him up to second place for Leighton Fury as well has also been pretty important in the championship, because rather than 16 points for third, he now gets 20 points for finishing in second place. That, by my maths, will move him on to 38. So Fury and Zimmerman could move up to third place in the championship here, behind Pickler and Birch, Avega and Wiebelhaus, and then they'll be up to third in the championship on 38 if it stays like this. You can see from the camera wobble there that it's still pretty windy here as well. It was really windy yesterday for the free practice days, and dry for the most part, but that wind's still a factor here at the circuit. Less strong than it was yesterday, but we're only a couple of 100 meters away from the beach here at Zandvoort on the North Sea coast. It's a very popular area for windsurfers, even as I found out 2 nights ago when I was walking down the beach. When it's going dark, they're still out there, about 30 or 40 of them doing the surfing. So that tells you that it's a pretty windy part of the world, and as you said, Brian, that can blow the sand onto the course as well and make things unpredictable. But a real shame for this pair. For Janis Fitcher, great job in qualifying this morning to put it on pole for the German driver. Viskirchen suffering the same issue, and they'll be really worried that that might recur again tomorrow, won't they? They want to really strip the car down and work out what has caused that problem for the Mercedes to stop twice in the race.
Could be a long night in the SR Motorsport by Schnitzel and Camp as they try and work that out, and some frustrations there. Also, that's Leo Pickler, isn't it? Looks like he's got an issue. You can hear the car juddering. He's trying to, he can't break the speed limit on it of 80 kilometers an hour, but you can see him banging the steering wheel. So issues there as well. In all of this, I said the cars accelerate, decelerate at different times. We've got a 24.2 second gap between first and second. It was 9 seconds when the full course yellow came out. So I sincerely hope that Finn Zulauf hasn't been speeding, because if he has, they will pick up on it. It may well just be that Leighton Fury and Juliana Holzem decelerated at a different rate, and that gap opened up. But potentially problems for the Razzoon more than racing car as well, the championship leading car. It may be just that they've got off the power and the whole thing's cooled down a bit, and once they're back up to speed, it'll be all okay. But in 5th place at the moment, there is a Viskirchen as well, Moritz Viskirchen. That's him in the car, but he's clearly not going to go any further today. The clock continues, 6 minutes and 22 seconds of this race remaining. So time running out. Finn Zulauf with a 24.2 second lead.
Got to say, a great job in the pits again by the Razzoon More Than Racing squad. The championship leaders, new to GT3 racing, leading the championship after 2 wins at the Lausitz Ring, and their pit stop, even though the car is back in 5th place, was the closest to the minimum pit stop time of anybody. So their minimum pit stop time was 85 seconds, and their pit stop was 85.1 seconds. Mega job to get as close as they did to it. Also, the FAC Autotech crew with a really good stop. FAC Autotech, they dropped a couple of seconds in their pit stop, but there was another team. That was the Mustang team, HRT. Dennis Fetzer, only 0.4 of a second over his minimum pit stop time as well, and only 0.7 over was the Carrie Schreiner Audi, and that was another close pit stop. So some good efforts out there. And also the Holzem twins, the number 56 BMW, 0.3 of a second longer than its absolute minimum. So good job done there as well by, as we'd expect really, the Schubert Motorsport team.
We've gone safety car. We've gone safety car with 5 minutes remaining. Race Control has decided to deploy a safety car as Carrie Schreiner comes past with the hazards flashing. So I'm not entirely sure why we've gone to safety car, but this is very significant. Finn Zulauf will be clutching his forehead, if he could, if he wasn't wearing a helmet, because the very rapid BMWs, particularly that of Leighton Fury, is going to be on his back bumper. Now, he'll be happy if we can run behind the safety car for the next 4.5 minutes plus 1 lap, but that's unlikely. So, Race Control deciding to bring out a safety car. I saw that it was lit up in the pit lane, has been for some time. Quite often they do bring out a full course yellow, then upgrade it to a safety car just to get cars safe. Whatever the reasons are, it's suddenly game on at the end of this race.
Well, the Mercedes has been recovered, hasn't it? So that's out of the way. I wonder if it's a response to the fact that that gap from the leader to second went from 9 seconds to 25, and they've gone, well, hang on a minute, that shouldn't be the case. So the only way to sort this out is to, well, obviously not looking at a penalty for the leaders, so it must be some other reason, and they've gone, well, that's a bit unfair for the chasing pack. Even though 9 seconds is still pretty comfortable, it's way more comfortable at 25. So let's bring out the safety car, bunch them all up, and then nobody can complain except for Pal Motorsport, who've lost a 9-second advantage now.
And Leighton Fury, well, we know what he's like. He will see this as a big opportunity. There's not going to be much time left by the time they've picked up the safety car and done a lap behind that, at least one lap behind that. There's not going to be a lot of time left. So there is a safety car. There is Finn Zulauf, whose heart will now be racing at the prospect of Leighton Fury filling his mirrors. They're going to have to wait for the rest of the snake to catch up. And then it's going to be a dash for the cash, because at the moment, Fury is up at turn 2, turn 3. He'll be racing to catch up with Finn Zulauf, because he'll want to get this back to green flag as quickly as possible so that he can make that challenge. In the Pro-Am race, Alex Fack leads Jonas Karklees. Fack 9th overall, Karklees 10th overall. So the Pro-Am runners will be nose to tail with each other as well. So plenty to play for, assuming the clock doesn't run out first.
There's also a massive gap from 4th to 5th, wasn't there? So 19 seconds between them, and I noticed that everybody's lap time and the first lap behind the full course yellow were wildly different. So just wondering if there's been some sort of technical glitch with the way that the full course yellow signal to the drivers comes in to them, because there's been some wildly different lap times when they should, as you say, all be pretty similar. So it's going to be just the one lap effectively behind the safety car. It's going to be a 4-horse race, one Lamborghini versus 3 BMWs, but Finn Zulauf will roll his eyes and say, well, come on, can't we just have an easy race? We had all that nightmare at Lausitz's Ring. But he should also remember he was quicker than the BMWs, and he wouldn't, you'd think, have been pushing flat out when he had that 9-second lead. So he should be able to get away from them, but we'll see.
We're about to find out. 1 minute and 3/4 on the clock. When the clock strikes 0, there will be an additional lap, plus whatever remains of the lap they are on. But at the moment, Finn Zulauf needs to just think about this. He needs to be on the accelerator when Leighton Fury least expects it. Fury, you can see, no weaving for him. He is just ready to pounce. It's Finn Zulauf's decision when he goes. He must not catch the safety car. They cannot overtake until they reach the start-finish line, but Zulauf leaving it quite late, up into 13. Any moment now, he's going to hit the accelerator. Fury will be laser-sharp, focused on the Lamborghini in front, ready to jump as soon as he's onto the power, ready to pull alongside and make a move as they cross the start-finish line. Now, Zulauf is onto the power. There go. He's opened up a bit of a gap on Leighton Fury. Now along past the pits they come. Cars weaving to generate heat into the tires. Juliana Holzem is one of them. Into turn 1. Zulauf has it covered off for the time being. Leighton Fury there as well. Car 14 under investigation for driving slowly under the full course yellow. That is Leo Pickler, the championship leader, under investigation. Clearly the issue they had has cleared with the car, but at the moment 30 seconds remaining, so it's going to be what remains of this lap plus one more. That's all that remains to discover the winner of this race 3 of the season. Eduardo Kozatek putting the heat on to Juliana Holzem for the last of the podium positions. They're all fighting each other. That will allow Finn Zulauf to break clear if he can, but at the moment Leighton Fury has a gap between himself and third place Juliana Holzem. The first 2 breaking clear from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, Leighton Fury with that gap, that helps him now because he can attack rather than keeping an eye on the mirrors. We go side by side between the 2 Mustangs here. Dennis Fetzer might be about to lose a position 2 if he's not careful, because Alex Fack trying to come around the outside of both of them. But Fetzer in the gold and black machine, Callis in the gold and black machine just about holding on to the position. Wiebelhaus trying to come through as well. And then Fack just behind the pair of them. But what about the top 2? They were more or less nose to tail. Wiebelhaus does get through the number one car. The number 2 machine of Fetzer whacks the curb, and then maybe a bit of contact. Yes, contact with the Porsche of Fag, who has stopped out on the exit to the chicane. So he's got the engine running, but it's going nowhere. He's lost gears, hasn't he? So that was maybe as a result of some contact, or maybe it started to go anyway. But a real shame for the Pro-Am Championship leaders. That's going to move Carcliss into the Pro-Am lead, with the time now down to 0. So the time has run out. We're down to the +1 lap at 0.3 of a second. Goes down to almost nothing on the way out of turn 1. On the way into turn 3, the BMW is going to try and take the high line here. But just about hanging on to the lead for now is the Lamborghini of Finn Zulav.
Finn Zulav going high onto turn 3, trying to make the Lamborghini as wide as he can. He just needs to hold on for what remains of this lap. But Leighton Furry has a sniff of a first ever win in ADAC GT Masters. He is looking deadly in that BMW. He has a little look to the outside into turn 7 for the very last time. This is for the win of the race. Finn Zulav defending for all he's worth. Leighton Furry clearly quicker in that BMW. Around turn 8, turn 9 they come. In the background, Juliana Holzem not able to challenge for that lead position. This looks like a 2-horse race for this win. Now Leighton Furry backs off briefly. He's psyching himself up for that last push in the final lap of the race. The 2 Mustangs running side by side. Callis bumping off Finn Wiebelhaus. That is for position as well. That is for 5th place. Behind them, Leo Pickler looking at the battle. At the moment, our race leader into turn 12 for the last time, heading up towards turn 13. Has Finn Zulav done enough to fend off Leighton Furry? Eduardo Kozatec makes contact with Juliana Holzem. Holzem picks it all up. Kozatec backs out of it, allows him to regather. Good fair driving from Eduardo Kozatec, but out of turn 14 across the line. It's going to be a win at last for Finn Zulav and Simon Conner-Prim. Leighton Furry's through everything at it, including the kitchen sink, but he and Tim Zimmerman having to settle for 2nd place on this occasion. The Holzem twins taking the last of the podium positions. What a great last couple of laps.
Fantastic. Loads of pressure from Leighton Furry on Finn Zulav there, but Finn kept his end of the bargain, did a great job. And what a day for Powell Motorsport. They got a podium in the DTM, first for them as a team in DTM, and they get a win in GT Masters. Simon Conner-Prim and Finn Zulav, with all the bad luck, absolutely dejected after losing a potential race win at the Lausitz Ring with that puncture. But here they are on top, and Finn Wiebelhaus was on a mission, wasn't he, on that last couple of laps of the race. That was him charging past 1 Mustang. Dennis Fetzer then making contact with the front left corner of Alex Fack's car that then immediately stopped. So he retired from the race. And Wiebelhaus then went and got past the other Mustang of Callas to get up to 5th place. So in the end, Vega and Wiebelhaus from near the back of the grid have ended up outscoring the championship leaders by a couple of points, because the Razoon Porsche ended up down in 8th place in the end. So he lost another one on the last lap of the race. I reckon the gap between the top 2 in the championship will be down to 10 points.
And look at this. This was Eduardo Kozatec and Holzem, and I think Kozatec could probably have powered through, but he backed out of it. He's seen that he had unsettled it. He didn't want to pick up a penalty. This is what it looked like on board with Eduardo Kozatec for FK Performance. He makes that contact and then just backs out of it, allows Juliana Holzem time to recover, to pick it all up again in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. But look at this. The first ever win after a disastrous time at the Lausitz Ring. The release of emotion in Power Motorsport for Finn Zulav and Simon Conner-Prim. Boy, did they have to work hard for that. Everything thrown at them, including a safety car at the end. But it was a win, subject to confirmation, these results, with Tim Zimmerman, Leighton Furry in 2nd, and the Holzem twins in 3rd. Julian Hanses and Eduardo Kozatec, good job for 4th place, ahead of Simon Vega, Finn Wiebelhaus, Max Reis, Nicholas Callas, and Jonathan Chicotto, Dennis Fetzer, the 3 Mustangs running together. Championship leaders, Simon Birch and Leo Pickler in 8th place. Emil Yerdrum and Jonas Karklees taking their first ever ever win in the Pro-Am category, ahead of Dennis Bulatov and Nico Hanska. Had a fairly quiet race. Also, Alan Valente and Kari Schreiner rounding out the top 11. The Audi not looking like it had got the pace that they needed. And it was Simon Ladniak and Baptiste Moulin who had the last of the finishers. There is your third place. The Holzem twins in second place. Tim Zimmerman, Leighton Fury for FK Motorsport, FK Performance Motorsport. But your winners, a fantastic race here at Zandvoort, the first sprint race of the season. The win goes to Simon Conner-Prim and Finn Zulauf for Powell Motorsports.
So you're going to have 6 drivers on the podium in the top 3 positions overall, and I reckon 5 of them is going to be their first ever podiums in the GT Masters. Only Tim Zimmerman that's been on the podium before. So Finn Zulauf and Simon Conner-Prim with a first win. I reckon that's the first win for Powell Motorsport in the championship as well. Leighton Fury with his first podium. There is a very delighted co-driver, Simon Conner-Prim, banging the roof of the car. The tall German driver now about to give Finn Zulauf, who's equally as tall, a big hug. Fantastic effort. First podium for Leighton Fury. Tim Zimmerman, who's been a winner before in GT Masters, his teammate, joining him second on the podium. And the Holzem twins with their first GT Masters podium as well, also played their part in what was a great race.
Yeah. Well, we saw Sandro Holzem get a podium back in 23, but certainly Giuliano, this is his first. And of course, we're going to get a couple of other extra podium people as well, because they normally get the Pro-Am couple on the podium at the same time. And it'll be a first podium. We need a bigger podium here, aren't we? Going to be a first ever podium for the Pro-Am winners as well, of Jonas Karklees and Emil Jerdrum. What a way to celebrate passing your driving test, getting a win in the Pro-Am category as well. So lots of celebrations. I think there might be some sore heads tomorrow morning in the Powell Motorsport camp.
Yeah, I like that. Passing your driving test. The driving instructor says, oh, you've done quite well there, Emma. What do you normally drive? Oh, a GT3 car. Oh, OK. Should be fine.
You should see the classic Lamborghini that he took for a drive, having taken his driving test. This thing was probably worth more than my house, I should think. Like, yeah, that's
no
the way
pressure.
to do it. No pressure. Pointing to the Lamborghini badge, we knew when it was announced that the outgoing champion in ADAC GT4 Germany, Finn Zulauf, was getting together with the very quick Simon Conner-Prim. We knew that they were going to be challengers. It wasn't a case of if they were going to win races, it was when. They were certainly one of my pre-season tips for the championship, and they've proven why. They kept their head because the pressure could so easily have got to Finn Zulauf there in the closing stages, but he showed great maturity, held it all together, despite the oncoming fury of Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman, but they'll be happy with a podium as well. Second place, good job done.
Yeah, really good race that, wasn't it? And of course, you know, it was a kind of a gift, wasn't it, with that safety car, because it was 9 seconds adrift. So having got all the way up to second place, Leighton Fury thought, well, I might as well have a go at this, because this has come from nowhere, and give it a real go, didn't he? And very close on the run through turn 3 on that final lap of the race. I thought he was going to maybe swing up, take the high line and get a better run up the hill out of turn 3, but he couldn't quite do it. But still delighted, Leighton Fury, who came up through the South Africa VW Polo Cup like a lot of recent stars of South Africa motorsport, including Kelvin and Sheldon van der Linde and Jordan Pepper as well. Made his way over to Europe, made his debut in the last race of the 2022 season in the BMW M2 Cup, and he immediately looked quick, looked on the pace, and was up there on the podium. And then he did a full season in 23 and won the championship. Then the driver that he beat to the championship title, Max Rosam, he raced with in GT4 last year. They got a couple of podiums, had a good season, finished 4th. And the upward trajectory continues for Leighton Fury. But you should also say, great job done by Tim Zimmerman. He really worked up the order, didn't he, in the first part of that race?
And you know that that pair is not going to be long before we see them on the top step of the podium. Definitely such a potent partnership. And although we haven't got masses of cars on the grid in the ADAC GT Masters, what we have is really, really strong partnerships. And I'm told there are a number of guest entries lined up for later in the season as well. The ADAC GT Masters very much returning to its roots from many years ago, created as a platform for amateur drivers to battle alongside emerging talents. Well, there's some emerging talents as we see the Holzem twins. I couldn't tell you which one's Sandro and which one's Giuliano, but whatever it is, they are very, very quick together, and equaling certainly Sandro's best ever finish and a best ever finish for Giuliano. Right, is Sandro on the left?
Right now.
Right now, I can tell you that because his name's written on his overalls, not because I can tell. But yeah, really good driving. And I tell you what, looking at some of the other categories that have been racing this weekend, a number of drivers would well pay attention to some really good disciplined driving, proper side-by-side stuff, not charging each other into the barriers, but good, firm, robust racing.
Yeah, I need to be a boring stato at some point and work out what the average age of this field is, because I reckon the average age in GT Masters has come right down, hasn't it, over the last couple of years. As you say, there's loads of upcoming drivers in this championship now who are all looking to make a career in GT racing, and some definite stars of the future on this grid. So as you say, the quality of the field is absolutely there in this year's ADAC GT Masters Championship. A great race. We had some really good racing at the Lausitz Ring as well, and as you say, really close but hard but fair racing for the bulk of it there. And, you know, a good team effort as well. Remember all those really rapid pit stops that we had, and several of them to get within 1 or 2 or 3 tenths of a second of the minimum pit stop time. Great job done by the pit crews, who have also worked hard to get the cars done. And remember, drama with the fuel pump for Power Motorsport as well.
Yes.
So it could have been that they didn't even start this race. They've ended up winning it, Brian, as our drivers make their way, starting with the Holzem twins up onto the podium for this first race of the weekend, round 3 of the championship here at Zandvoort. And Sandro and Giuliano Holzem onto the podium.
So their first visit as brothers to the GT Masters podium, and the second, Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do tomorrow, because we get to do this all again tomorrow. That's the great news. The sun is finally shining on the podium, as finally, after all the bad luck of Lausitz Ring, is put to the back of the mind that elusive win to the top step of the podium. Finn Zulauf and Simon Connor-Prim. And I think we're probably going to get, we're going to get a representative from Power Motorsport, who have done a sterling job. I reckon we're going to see the Pro-Am pairing as well. So, waving his new driving license, Emil Yerdrum. Here he is. And I don't know where Jonas Karklees is. Probably out the back having a comfort break, but there we go, ready for the national anthem that comes up now for Power Motorsport. I think we went for the extended version in the hope that Jonas Karklees might turn up, but it wasn't going to happen. Right, Eric Weijers, Chief Sporting Officer at Circuit Zandvoort, presenting the trophy to the winners. Lovely trophies with the outline of the circuit.
Michael Blaufuß, Motorsports Director, Pirelli Germany, für die Zweitplatzierten.
So,
Leighton Fury and Tim.
Michael Blaufuß from Pirelli. Do a fabulous job supporting everything at ADAC and presenting the second place trophies. And another name that we see a lot of, Liquimoli, Marco Esser, marketing director. Another Liquimoli, another sponsor of so much that goes on under the ADAC banner, presenting the third place trophies. And Tobias Seifert is the representative from Power Motorsport. I think Max is already celebrating from his DTM podium this afternoon, but he'll have been watching on. And Emil Yudrum, Jonas Karklees will send his on in the post. He's probably gone back to his hotel. Oh, here he is, Jonas Karklees. Ah, good. Better late than never. Get the hat. You missed the national anthem, mate. But he'll get a trophy. There we go. For winning in the Pro-Am category. Their first ever win as a partnership. Right, we're going to need the wide-angle lens for this lot, aren't we? So they'll squeeze up and have their photos taken, and the celebrations will start, but they will be short-lived because our attention turns to tomorrow when we get to do it all again. Race 2 will be a little bit earlier tomorrow because the DTM race is happening at the end of the day tomorrow. Check online for the details of that because I really can't be dealing with explaining it. It's 2 local time. We're going to be on air about 2 for the second race of the weekend, the fourth race of the season, the second sprint race of the season in the ADAC GT Masters. The BMWs are looking very strong. The Lamborghini was what took the honours here this afternoon. Who is going to come out on top? From myself, Brian Oliver, and Chris Hartley, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow for race 4 of the season. Masters. We are go. The car's ran out, and he's given the squeeze. Look at this, side by side. Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff.